everyone, Claire Rattée here, Conservative candidate for Skeena-Bulkley Valley. I was going to just make a video today to talk a little bit about environmental policies because it's obviously a topic that has been getting a lot of attention, and through the last few debates we've been asked about it quite often. So I figured doing a video might be nice for some of the people that haven't been able to attend debates so that they can get a bit of an overview on what our party is proposing, and I'm also going to contrast that a little bit with the NDP's policy announcements around the environment. So to start off with, I think it's important for people to understand that we have actually put forward a really good environmental platform. It's a very robust plan. It takes into account the environment, the economy, benefits for our citizens, benefits for Canadian companies, and it has more actionable items and tangible things that we can actually work on than any other party's platform. So we're taking an approach of things that are realistic, things that we can actually accomplish to better preserve our environment and to have a healthier, cleaner environment for many years to come. So there's a lot of focus in this platform around incentivizing citizens to care for the environment and take environmental stewardship seriously, and conservation efforts, as well as investing in technology, not taxes. So one of the things that I think is really exciting is the Green Homes Tax Credit, which would actually allow Canadian citizens to start retrofitting their homes and get a tax credit for it, to invest in things like solar panels or higher efficiency windows or doors, newer furnaces. So not only will this save people money on those retrofits, but you'll also be saving money on your heating and energy costs as well. These are things that are actual, tangible things that we can do as Canadian citizens to ensure that our environment is cleaner and it is healthier. Another one is the green patent tax incentive. So basically it's looking at any kind of green technology that's patented here in Canada. We would be dropping the tax rates on it from normal earnings on a business to incentivize people to patent these technologies within Canada and invest in them here in Canada. So it'll attract both local and foreign investment into our economy. There's a lot of other things in the policy. I would definitely recommend that people read through it. I'm not going to go through everything, obviously, but it's taking into account wildfires, investing in newer technologies, working with the Canadian forest industry to look at better ways that we can mitigate the disaster of forest fires, as well as earlier detection and predictability about what they're going to do. Making sure that we preserve our wetlands and focusing on the global emissions rather than just right here at home, because Canada does only produce 1.6% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. So when we look at some of the heavy emitters in other countries, one of the big focuses that we have is looking at investing in cleaner energy sources such as LNG to try and help transition other countries that might be reliant on things such as coal to get off of coal burning and onto liquefied natural gas, because it is a much cleaner and safer energy source. So that's kind of the general basis of what our plan entails. There's also going to be, we'll be setting the emissions caps for heavy emitters at 10 kilotons of CO2 lower than the current Liberal plan. And rather than just taking a look at simply taxing these corporations on their emissions that go over this cap, we'll actually be looking at having them reinvest into green technology that's pertinent to their industry, so that it's not just a government revenue stream. This is something that will actually be going back into that industry to try and lower their emissions in the future. Speaking of government revenue streams, obviously many of you are aware that we have announced that we would repeal the carbon tax, and I know that that's been a bit of a tricky issue for some people, so I would like to just take a few minutes to talk about that specifically. So with the carbon tax, British Columbia residents will know we've had a carbon tax here for about 15 years, and we were the first province to institute one. And it's been often lauded as this great accomplishment, this great environmental policy, and look at BC go. And I would like to talk a little bit about why I disagree with that, and why many disagree with that, and why it's actually been proven to be completely ineffective as far as doing anything for the environment. The only thing it is a government revenue stream. So just to make a quick quote here, the Sierra Club, which is a well-known environmentalist group, they said last year that the emissions in British Columbia were higher in 2015 than 2010, and that they have risen in 4 of the last 5 years. BC's latest emissions data marks years of failure to reduce emissions by more than a token amount. So by the left's own admission, these carbon taxes don't actually work. So rather than just taxing everybody on things that they need to use every day, it's not just the gas that you need in your vehicle to drive to work, or the electricity or the gas to heat your home, pardon. It's more than that. We rely heavily, our entire society relies heavily on the miracle of hydrocarbons. And we basically, when you put a carbon tax on things like that, it starts to kind of trickle into every aspect of your life, making life more expensive, less affordable, and it's doing nothing for the environment because it's not cutting back the amount that we need to rely on these things. It's simply another government revenue stream, which we have seen make little progress in cleaning up our environment. So beyond that, I think kind of going over what the NDP's platform is, because this is something that we have discussed at great length in the debates, and kind of contrasting what we're proposing, what they're proposing. So first of all, they reference a section in their environmental policy around job creation, and the only actual policy initiative in there is that they would increase EI funding and employment resources, because under their plan, they know that most British Columbians at the very least would be likely out of a job. So that's all they have as far as creating jobs. They also make some references to having net carbon-free electricity by 2030 by establishing something called a climate bank. But there is no reference in there as to how this climate bank will be funded, where the money is coming from, how much money it needs, or how on earth this would actually transition us to net carbon-free electricity by 2030. So typical of one of their policy announcements, there's very little substance there. It's a nice idea, and they have no idea how they're actually going to accomplish it. They also have no reference to proposed rates of carbon taxes in their proposal. I can't find a single thing. They don't mention specifically what their price on carbon would be following 2022. They would heavily tax job-creating businesses, bringing in less tax revenue overall, and having a negative impact on job creation and economic growth. So basically, reading through their policy, reading through our policy, I don't think it's difficult for people, if they're going to take the time to actually read through them both, to see that one plan actually has some real tangible items that we can work on that enhance the environment that we live in and also enhance our local economy. And the other is a wish list of things that might sound nice on paper, but they have no idea how to actually put them into practice in real life. So I hope that helps, guys. And as always, if anybody has questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.